So it's finally time to relight the garage because it's terribly dark in here and gloomy. Some of these light fixtures, the old 4-footers, are probably over 30 years old. But we're going to make the switch to some of the LED single strip lights that we can put a lot more of them up in here. These are the ones you get on Amazon. They're, I think, the Barrina ones. Yes. And I ended up going with the 4-footers because we tried to order the 8-footers and USPS will not deliver 8-footers to your house. So keep that in mind if you're going to order these lights. If you have any problems with USPS, that might be something that you want to keep in the back of your mind. Oh, those are smaller than I thought they were going to be. So these can all be linked together. So we got to kind of figure out a pattern that we're going to use in here. And find the hardware and the clips, and we'll get after this deal. Okay, so we made quick work of getting the old 4-foot fluorescents down. So in each box you get 8 lights. These are actually pretty small. They're smaller than I thought they would be. It's going to be neat to see what they do when we get a whole bunch of them put up. It comes with 8 of these cords that go in between, so you can set up an arrangement on your ceiling or walls however you want. It's got 4 power adapters with a switch. And then you got some hardwired adapters, which I don't know if I'll use. And then you have these little couplers right here. These couplers, you can directly chain the lights together. It's got a whole bunch of these clips in here. I've not heard the greatest things about these clips, so it's going to be interesting to see what we think out of them in person. And the little tiny screws that it comes with, they won't even make it through the drywall. And I don't know if I would trust just screwing these into drywall. But I've got boxes of screws, so we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So we'll get a string of 3 put up on the ceiling and see what that looks like. So I think what we decided on is we're going to do 3 rows at 4 lights each. So that's 16 feet. So we're going to have 3 strips 16 feet long in the ceiling. I'm using these screws, 1.5" number 9s, with these clips. And I've read a lot of complaints in the reviews about the clips, but so far the clips seems to be working just fine. So now we got to figure out how to get power to this strip. I have 3 outlets across the front third of the garage, so we're going to come up with some kind of combination to make this work. So we're about halfway through. I don't have the lights on in here, so I don't want to give it away yet. This is one row that we've got up. Here's our first row that we got up. And so far the clips are working just fine. I know there was some pretty bad reviews on the clips, but I think if you're careful with the clips when you're putting them up on the ceiling, they work okay. Just make sure they're fully engaged and the lights won't fall down. So we're going to tear these lights down and get this old power cord nailed to the ceiling torn down and come up with something for in the middle. All right, so we got the rest of the lights put up on the ceiling. I don't know, I think we should just go ahead and turn them on and blast everybody. So this is 15 4-foot lights on the ceiling. So we're feeding the ceiling with five plugs. So we got 2 on this side, 2 on this side, kind of split in front to back. And then I got 1 off of that is feeding this U shape right here. So when you're putting these things up on your ceiling or your walls, you're kind of at the mercy of your structure. If you want to use the structure, I personally am not really comfortable just using the little dinky screws that come with the clips to just go into the drywall. I would prefer myself for them to be screwed into the framing. So that's how we did it. Like I said, I used number 9 1.5" screws into the truss work, and that seems to have worked pretty well. I have to admit, when we were first putting up the first string, that it was kind of still a little dim in here, but once we went a little bit crazy with them, I'm much more pleased with the light and the way the light is cast. If I remember right, I'm not 100% positive, but I'm pretty sure these are the 5000K. And I think it's a good light for me. I don't really like the super white or almost blue light myself. I did also want to point out that it says if you're connecting 4-footers, don't connect any more than 8 lights in a row, and we're not anywhere near that. I think the most we have is this U shape where it's 5 lights, and then the rest of them have either 2 or 3 lights on them is all. So if these things last, I think they're going to work out pretty well. I did read in a lot of the reviews though that it's not uncommon to lose a light every once in a while. So what I'm probably going to do is just order another box of them, just so I have some spares laying around, so that they're not you know, if I didn't have spares and they go out of stock or they quit making them, at least I'll have some for a while, and they're not that expensive. I think for an 8-pack of 4-footers is I want to say it was like $49 or something like that. I might be wrong on that. I'll try and put a link in the description. We also did a little custom work, and we put that guy up in the attic, and it is tied to this circuit here with the main light switch. Dark, light. So I have, even though we're only into 3 hours of operation, I have to give them an A+ so far. If they all start dying off, I'll report back in the future and say whether they were worth it or not, but I think they were worth it. Like I said earlier in the video, a lot of people complained about the clips. I think the clips they work just fine as long as you don't bend the hell out of them when you're putting the screws in, and you make sure that they're seated all the way. You can actually pull down pretty hard on the bulbs and they won't come off the ceiling. So pretty happy with that. I'm sure I'm missing more details. Some people like to get really detail oriented and specs and all that stuff and wattages, and I don't know what the wattages are, but you can look them up on the link that I'll put in the description. If you have any more questions beyond that, put them in the comments below and we'll answer them the best we can. Hope this helps somebody. Dexter. some bonus footage from inside the house looking out. I also wanted to add, because I forgot this little detail, another thing that we read a lot of people complain about in the reviews was that when the garage lights were turned on, that it interfered with their garage door operator. And we tested that theory two or three times with this Jeep out in the driveway, with the lights turned on and using the onboard door opener. And with the lights turned on, the garage door opener worked every time. Now, that was only 30 feet out in the driveway, so we'll test it some more out in the road. But as of right now, I think it's going to work just fine. So maybe the 4-footers aren't as bad on the garage door motors as the 8-footers are. Or maybe we just don't have them as close to the unit as some people do. So just something to think about. Wanted to add that in there.